interested in, and it's great that so many of you were willing to come and join us today. So just to let you know that the session is being recorded, it might have just alerted you on your screen. All the sessions will be made available after the Congress on the WTUN website as usual. I think we've got a fairly small group. Yeah, we've got 15 people with us. So I would like to suggest that once our 5 speakers have done their introductory and opening remarks, that I will try and handle the discussion and Q&A by people raising their hand, rather than using the chat function, and we can maybe be quite interactive in this. If that starts to get too complicated, then I might change track, but let's give it a go. Let's give it a go. So we're talking today about the Times Higher Education Impact Ranking. This is the league table that uses the Sustainable Development Goals in order to provide an assessment of the social, economic, environmental impact of a university. And I know of the 5 of you speaking, I'm pretty sure most of you are using and are part of that impact ranking. So I'm hoping to hear why you chose to do that, etc. So without further ado, I'm going to welcome Professor Lisa Phillips, who is Provost and Vice President Academic at York University, and is joining us really early in the morning. So I am so grateful that you've come to join us, Lisa. Thank you so much. Over to you. Please, five minutes, maximum 10, share your thoughts and what you're doing at York.
Thank you so much. It's really great to be here, actually. Now I'm wide awake. I've had my coffee and I'm ready to go and ready to also learn from all of you. I'm hoping that you might be able to see my screen at this point. Not yet. Okay, I shared it, so, oh, maybe that's going to do the trick. Let's hope. Okay. There we are. Great. Well, I think I will stick to 5 minutes because I want to hear from others, but I think that your opening question was a good one. Why did we decide to participate actually in the very inaugural ranking of the impact ranking last year? And it was because we recognized right away at York University that this was actually quite a good fit with our strengths. We were quite pleased to see a ranking that might in fact capture better than some of the traditional league tables do exactly what York has always been, you know, a bit of a standout in terms of valuing and doing. So I'm going to move along and just point out to you that you can see from some of the buildings in this photograph that York is a child of the 1960s, founded in 1959. From the very inception, there was a strong social justice ethic that made its way into the values of the university in terms of the initial complement of faculty who were hired, the interest they had in changing the world for the better, and that really has, I think, continued to inform how we have developed. And more recently, I would say that we have embraced that identity more strongly and more visibly through our brand. So this is a new branding research exercise we went through last year, and we've really come out understanding ourselves as a university that's distinguished by the fact that we are driven by passion, that our promise is really that we're here to create positive for our students, our communities, and for the world around us, and that we're a community of change makers. That's who we are. That's what's different and special about us. So how does that manifest? We have a new university academic plan, which is effectively our strategic plan. And you can see that there's a number of priority areas that we're working on. And you can see that the Sustainable Development Goals is embedded within that. We've given ourselves a challenge to try to elevate our contributions to building a more just and sustainable future. So this really is making its way very much into all aspects of the institution's mission. Within that larger university academic plan, we have found it quite useful to have a number of sub-strategies or sub-plans that articulate our commitments in a variety of areas like sustainability. We did very well in a number of areas. We were really delighted by this. And I think that we have analyzed to some degree what is it that contributed to us doing well in these areas? And I think in all of them, we have some major hubs of excellence. And York, another feature of York since its inception really has been interdisciplinarity, a real interest in transcending the disciplines to look at large topical themes, big issues, grand challenges, however you might express it, and surround that with all aspects in major collaborative projects. So projects and hubs of excellence that include a teaching mission, a research mission, community partnerships, as well as practices surrounding them that embody our values. So just a couple of small examples then. For clean water and sanitation, where we did very well, really this was driven by a particular study that was based on a practical applied research project about how could we better manage stormwater in Toronto, in the city of Toronto. Reduced inequalities, we have a number of these large centers of excellence, one of which is around youth homelessness, for instance. We've built up over a period of about 15 years, gradually began with some research projects and some community partnerships and built out into a national and now internationally recognized hub that brings community agencies together with academic researchers and students to really help policymakers to innovate around how do we shift from doing from reactive responses to homelessness that are focused on acute interventions for people in crisis, and shift that more towards preventive, the social determinants analysis that might keep people off the street in the first place. Gender equality is another one where we have a large women's entrepreneurship hub partnered with our local cities and regions. And we also, in the area of cities and communities, sustainable cities and communities, we have a major institute, the City Institute, where it has a number of projects, one of which involves transit and student transportation. How are students getting around? So partnerships is a real theme of how York has conducted its mission. We are located in a part of the city which is less socioeconomically privileged than some other parts of the city, and we have a lot of interactions and engagements. We have a community engagement center that sits right in the community. We also have a lot of global linkages, including our Borderless Higher Education for Refugees project in Kenya, which is bringing higher education opportunities to students in large refugee settlements in Kenya. So there's lots of other examples I could give. I think maybe one good one just to briefly end with is that we do try to incorporate student opportunities wherever we can. So for instance, we have an eco-campus in Costa Rica. And this really kind of exemplifies, I think, where you can start to have a bigger impact when you bring something together that involves everything from the construction of the building to the conservation of surrounding lands, to the work with surrounding communities to promote and contribute to sustainable farming practices or whatever the community is interested in promoting, to the research programs, the field research that's being done, to the courses that are being taught, to the partners from other universities internationally that are joining us at this location. So it's a way to sort of connect the dots amongst all the aspects of our mission, create a bit of a constellation out of the stars. I don't know if anyone else has heard that expression, but we all have some wonderful stars at our institutions. And the trick can sometimes be in how do we bring them together in something that's more visibly recognizable and legible to the rest of the world as an impactful gathering of strength. So we did find that this particular ranking was very different to make a submission to than others. Took a lot more effort and going deep into, not just sort of metrics that are gathered through a database, but talking to a lot of people about the kind of impacts we'd had and where we felt we were having the most impact and amplifying those stories. So I will stop there. I look forward very much to hearing how this has played out at all of your institutions. And thank you very much for having me.
Thank you very much, Lisa. I know this is going to be a group of presentations where I'm just going to want to know so much more about everything everybody says. Can I please welcome Madam Punithavalli, Marimuthu, Deputy Registrar and Manager from the Universiti Teknologi in Malaysia. Thank you so much for joining us today. Please do take five minutes or so to tell us about your university and this ranking table. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Jo Dobson, and greetings from Malaysia and salam sejahtera. Very good afternoon or good evening to everyone. And definitely I'm very pleased to be here. And today I would like to share something very close to my heart, participation of UTM in Times Higher Education Impact Ranking, data coordinator's perspective. I'm sure everybody has coordinated some kind of data, and I would like to share my perspective for UTM. And briefly, my key responsibility in UTM is to manage, collect and submit data for global ranking, namely QS, THE, and as well as Best Global University.
You've accidentally muted yourself, I think, Punithavalli.
All right, done.
There you go, you're back. Thank you.
Okay, issues and challenges faced by data coordinating team and suggestions to for improvement. Okay, before we proceed, I would like to introduce my beautiful university. It's established in 1972, public research university in Malaysia, a leading public research university in Malaysia. We have 3 campuses, 2 in southern state, that's Johor, and UTM Johor Bahru being the main campus. It's green campus. And we have another campus in Kuala Lumpur that's very close to Petronas Twin Tower. It's about 10 minutes. So this is our beautiful campus. And briefly, facts and figures of UTM. Currently, we have close to 25,000 students and about 5,000 staff. And we have 8,900 postgraduate students. Okay, that's about my university. Moving on, I would like to present about our performance. Let's look at the big picture. In Malaysia, since THE Impact Ranking was launched last year, it has actually created some interest among Malaysian universities. Initially, 9 universities participated, and the latest is 13 universities. And some of the universities did extremely well, top 100 universities, and UTM participated in both years, 2019 and 2020. Moving on, let's look into our performances. UTM has performed quite well. Okay, 2019 we were ranked 101, within 101 and 200 range, and 2020 we are ranked at 201, 300. Nevertheless, when you look into the SDGs closely, we have actually did a remarkable improvement in the score, and we were also ranked the best for SDG 9, Industry, Innovation, and Infrastructure. We were ranked top 60 in the world, and our overall score showed that we have improved significantly from 64.6 to 74.2. So I should say we have done pretty well for new university, I mean, not a senior. Moving on, let's look into a brief comparison with WTUN members. I realized that 7 universities have participated, and I'm extremely excited to see your university presenting, and they are ranked top 33. And congratulations! I'm sure it gives it's through the tremendous work they have ranked number 33. And within the 7 universities, when you look at it, 5 are from Asia universities. Okay. Okay, simple. Briefly going through the methodology, we can see if a university would like to participate in any impact ranking, we need to submit at least 4 SDG. 17, SDG 17, it's a compulsory SDG, and 3 other SDGs, and the contribution of scores as seen in the screen. Okay, and what are the data to be submitted? Some of the data will be submitted by university, and bibliometric data is provided by Elsevier. And the platform that's used for data submission is THE portal. And I'm sure everybody is aware the data portal is open for data submission, which will be ending by 30th of November. And for this time around, for this exercise, we need to submit data for the calendar year 2019 or academic year 2018 until 2019 or financial year ending. And how do we gain the points? It must be a statement. Each statement will be given 1 point. For evidence, it must be public and it must be relevant. Based on this, you will score 1 point or 0.5 point or 0 point. If the data or evidence are not, given is not relevant, you will be scoring 0 points. So it is a bit tricky. So we need to submit data that's related to the criteria. Okay, let's share. Okay, let me share how we do it in UTM. Okay, we UTM International, as I mentioned, we are in charge for, managing most of the data to be submitted for global ranking. We work hand in hand with UTM Campus Sustainability. So UTM Campus Sustainability is the office that's in charge for most of the SDG related activities for campus-wide. And beside these two PTJ offices, we'll be working very closely with Office of Deputy Vice-Chancellor, Research and Innovation, Development, Academic and Innovation, Student Affairs, as well as Bursa, Registrar, Strategic Management Office, UTM Library, Faculties and Research Alliances, and Center of Excellences. And together, all of us, we call ourselves as Impact Task Force. Okay, what do we do actually? This task force is appointed by the university. We analyze UTM performances, benchmark against other university, and identify our gap, prepare the action plan to narrow the gap, identify the data owners, assist in data collection, identify best evidence, approval before submission to data portal. We have to get or gain approval from the university. All this will be screened through or assisted by the task force. Okay, the process, we need to understand each criteria. Okay, criteria for each SDGs. It varies. Okay, I'm sure those who have participated the last 2 years, we can see the criteria for THE impact becomes more detailed. So we need to understand the criteria in depth. And every year, beginning of the process of data collection, we will run through our activities against the criteria to see which SDGs is suitable for University Technology Malaysia. And we shortlist some, and then we prepare a work plan, a Gantt chart, list the data requirement and data provider, because the data can be provided by so many providers. Conduct coordination meetings, not once, it could be a couple of meetings before we are finalizing the data. Share the precise requirement with data provider. The information is given by either by UTM International or UTM Campus Sustainability. We will go through data in depth so that they can prepare the actual data provider can get the actual evidence to be given to us. Decide the data collection platform. At UTM, we normally use Google Drive to gather all the information. And throughout the data collections, we need to engage closely with data provider, select the best 3 evidence for each SDGs, and systematically streamline detail and data and evidence to upload to be in the portal. So that's a process in brief. Of course, when you analyze, you have to analyze each criteria in detail so that we know what we are lacking, how to improve. And this is just an example of 2 SDGs, SDG 9 and SDG 12, SDG 17, sorry. So moving on, I would like to share the challenges. I'm sure most of us who are involved in data gathering will kind of agree with me. Data gathering most of the time is done manually. We have to talk to so many people to get the information and data. And sometimes websites are not updated, and write-up should be, like in my case, it should be mostly in English, so it's better visibility. For better visibility, sometimes write-up is done in our national language, Bahasa Malaysia, so sometimes it's we find it's quite difficult to extract the data. Write-up on the activity sometimes incomplete, no in-depth understanding of the criteria, so sometimes information or data evidence provided, it's not up to date. Lack of policies. Not everything is translated into policy in UTM, so some of the policies are still in the process of updating and things like that. So we have some issues on that, but we are improving. Requirement changes fast. Sometimes the requirement in terms of criteria, we have to understand and make it, we have to take some initiatives to, so that our data collection is more strategic. And priority of stakeholders, most of the activities done in UTM, our priority is for students or university community, staff and students. But some of the criteria in THE Impact, it goes for the NGOs related and local authorities. So these are the things we have been doing, we've been engaging, but not as widely as required by THE Impact. Okay, I'm coming to the last slide. Suggestion for improvement. Data collection should be continuous process. It's not just end of the year, so we have to start at least, quarterly collection. Website reports should be updated throughout the year. And UTM Campus Sustainability has created localized SDG indicators for UTM to data provider understand the requirements. So not everything will be alien to our data provider. So when you look at the localized SDG indicators, we can contribute or collect the data better. So thank you for the opportunity, and it's wonderful to be part of this team. Thank you again.
Thank you so much, Punitha. That was really helpful, and I'm sure will have been useful for some of our other delegates who might not be used to how the Times Higher Ed table actually works. So that's great. And I do have some questions. I have to hold off on my questions. I believe next is presenting is Dr. David Easow from Hindustan University. Is that correct? Thank you, David. We can see your slides.
Yeah. So good morning, very good morning to all of you, and some of you have good afternoon and good evening also. I think we are gathered from all around the world in different time zones. So I thank each and everyone who is attending this particular Congress, and especially I thank the Hindustan University for giving me the opportunity to talk about the Times Higher Education Impact Ranking, an insight from the WTUN members. And I really would like to talk about many things which actually Punithavalli has already covered. So she saved a lot of my time. So that is good actually. I want to talk about best way to proceed, especially for the people, those who would like to apply for this ranking in the coming years. So that is my intention. So let me proceed further. Can you see the second slide?
Not yet, David.
No?
Yes, we have your second slide.
Okay. It's going very slow. Okay, so basically when we talk about an university, the Sustainable Development Goal set by UN is very, very important as far as the university is concerned, because this actually gives the blueprint of how our future will be. and how we are all going to live in the future, the global challenges that we are going to face, and it's including our poverty and inequality and all the areas. And also when we talk about it, also includes the current pandemic situation and also the new normal. So that is also very well covered, even though it was developed way back in 2015. But when we see these goals, we can see that it has been very well covered, so that we have the time that we are living now is defined in that. And so as far as the Hindustan University is concerned, we did our ranking in last year, in 2020 we participated in ranking, and out of which 768 universities participated from 85 countries. And the data collection and submission was in 5 stages. First was we have collected about the institution profile, and then we choose the SDG that we would like to apply, which is a strong point for us. And then we fill these SDG forms, we prepared the notes that has to be required to be entered, and also we did the review, and then we printed the things, and then finally we submitted. So this ranking that came out, we were 18 in the clean water and sanitation, 58 in the affordable and clean energy, we were 95 in the responsible consumption and production, and we were within 401 and 600 in the partnership for the goals, which is applicable for all. So overall ranking was between 201 and 300. When we talk about the overall ranking, where we had, as I told you, we had about 768 global universities that participated in it, and we got 18th in the clean water, and that is about, we got 100 score in water usage and care, so that is really good, and also 91.7 in the water in the community. And when we ranked 58 in the affordable and clean energy, the score was 100 in the energy university measure, because we have a very good energy saving system here, and also we have the clean energy, and the 91.7 in the energy in the community. Then in when we ranked 95 with the responsible consumption, we scored 100 in the sustainability report publication and 97.8 in the operational measure, and rank 401 in the partnership for the goal in SDG 17. And we scored, even though we scored 91.1, but we were in 401. So you can see how tough the competition is and how much people are doing, because 17 goal is very, very important, because it talks about the partnership for goals, how you are collaborating, how we are collaborating with each other, with the community, with the government, with the NGOs, and with our students and with our community, everything. It comes in that. So the best way to proceed will be to understand the impact ranking details, methodology, and the details of calculation used to generate the result. So we need to really go through the impact ranking methodology. And the good thing for 21 is that they have actually published the methodology, which was not published earlier. So this year they have already in advance, they have given it. So for everybody who's planning to apply, they can actually go and see what is the methodology they are going to use, and then they can select the things. So first thing to do is you need to select 3 strong areas, which is the strongest areas that you think in the SDGs, and then of course 17 you have to take. So let's say, for example, somebody is selecting 3, which is a good health and wellness, and 11 sustainable cities and communities, then 4 quality education, and then 17 partnership for the goal. The impact ranking measures the university's contribution to the UN Sustainable Development Goal in outreach, research, and stewardship. So these 3 areas is what the university have to concentrate. Of course, university, I will say university is the main area or main source which can actually fulfill the UN goal, because we have a big community here. We have a students community who can actually go and do a lot of work, which if we involve them, that they're a big source and they can actually go and do a lot of things. So overall score is generated with 17, it's up to 22%, and I'll leave this because already it's been covered, and 3 ST 22, to total it makes 200%. And if we just talk about the sustainable city and community, the methodology, the matrix and indicator which is used, and first is the research. So as a university, we all are supposed to do research and publish papers. And one of the main, one of the things that I would like to say to everybody is when actually you're publishing the paper, very important to put those keywords, which is what is used for finding out your papers from the net. So keywords have to be included in your paper publication so that your papers is sorted out and it can come out. So proportion of the paper in the top 10 journals as defined by the city score, which gives you up to 10%, equivalent to 2.6 of the overall score. And the field weighted citation index, FWIC, for the paper produced by the university, it gives you up to 10%, equivalent to the 2.6% score. And number of publications of past 5 years. So it sees the publication of 5 years, not the current year. So always we have to see that we have to continue the publication so that this ranking we can really go and work on this, and equivalent to 1.82 and the overall score. Then second one is support of the art and heritage, which actually gives you 22.6%. Public access to significant building at the university, which we get 3.7%. Then public access to university libraries. Then we get public access to open and green space and provide artistic event for the members of public and such concert and record of the preservance of the local heritage. Third is the sustainable practices, which again gives you 35.1. And I'll just leave the details here just to proceed further and to save some time. And the last one is expenditure on art and heritage, which is 51 point. Now this changes for every STG. It's not common for all the STG. So it changes according to the STG, the matrix and the indicator changes. Now, if we just talk about the support for art and heritage, I've just taken the public access to the building. Now it has three criteria: existence to the access, which you gives the 1 point. And as Punithavalli said, if you're not there, then you're going to get 0 also. And if it's a free access, you get 1 point. And if it's a paid access your college, then you get only 0.2.5 points. And evidence provided, it's very important to put evidence provided. And that you get 1 point. And is the evidence provided in public? Because many times we have an evidence, but we may not put it in. So it's very important for us to put our evidence in the website or Facebook and all the areas where it publicly people will be able to know it, so that the data, when it is pulled, our ranking can be better. And linked to other SDGs. So when we submit, if you are submitting for sustainable cities and community, there are other SDGs are also coming into the picture. For example, it also gives about the city can be a hub of culture and also industry. So which is SDG 9, hunger, which is SDG 2, poverty, which is SDG 1. So every SDG has a cross linkage. So if a paper is published in these areas also, that also can be included, so that your weightage can go on a higher side. Then once you've collected the data, then you need to align the data. And once you've aligned the data, then you have to develop the tracker, and then you need to achieve it. So you know what are the gaps, and then work on the gaps, and then develop a tracker and go on achieving one by one, depending upon the requirement that the ranking has submitted or times ranking has submitted. So afterwards you have to review and then you apply, and that is the final stage that you have to do. And just want to close with a goal without a plan is just a wish. So if you have a goal to apply for the ranking in times ranking in the impact, in that case, we should have a goal and then we should have a plan. Now plan is very important, and plan is not just the ranking, but plan is to make the sustainable impact. The impact is the most necessary thing. So for a world that we live, we have to make a better world for tomorrow. Thank you very much.
Oh, Dr. David, that was fabulous, and what a wonderful point to end on there. Thank you so much. A goal without a plan is just a wish. That's wonderful. Again, lots of questions on my notebook, but I'll ask you, Dr. David, if you could mute your microphone, and I will go to Assistant Professor Dr. Veena Phunpeng, who's the Deputy Director of the Centre for International Affairs at Suranaree University of Technology in Thailand. Wonderful, David. Veena. Oh, perfect. Everybody's running so well. Thank you. Over to you, Veena.
Okay, good afternoon from Suranaree University of Technology, or you can call us SUT. So we are one of the founding members of this respectable WTUN. First and foremost, I would like to thank WTUN for this opportunity for me to share this insight Time Higher Education's World Ranking, Impact Ranking from WTUN members in Thailand. I hope the story from our perspective that I am going to share with you will be the interesting and even useful for all of you. Okay, so in the year of 2019, Times Higher Education or THE launched what they call the impact ranking, which is a different kind of the university ranking by evaluating the university based on their roles and contributions toward the United Nations SDG or the Sustainable Development Goals. For the first year of the ranking, this kind, there are 11 goals in the SDG World Target. Altogether, there were 467 universities from the 76 countries for all the corners of the world participating in this ranking. And for this year, 2020, THE had added 6 more goals to the ranking criteria, making a complete set of the SDG set by the UN. THE requires that any university take part in this ranking must submit information on at least 4 goals, and one of these 4 must be the SDG number 7, which is a partnership of the goals. SUT then decided to submit the information on all the 17 goals, and the result placed the SUT in the world ranking criteria that shown in this slide. So from the 767 universities from 85 countries. Okay, and for the top 3 goals that SUT could score high, including SDG number 6, which is clean water and sanitation, the points that about 53.1. And SDG number 4, which is the quality education, with the score shown. And next one is SDG number 12, that the responsibility consumptions and productions. Okay, so SUT find that this impact ranking have sent a warning to universities around the world to raise their awareness on their role and responsibilities. That as higher education institutions, universities must be responsible for community and society development at the national, regional, and international levels. This increased awareness is already well aligned with the visions of university. The aim of ourselves is to be an excellent science and technology university that the society can rely on. Therefore, the scores are quite high on that goal that align with the existing SUT missions and operation. Let me use the SDG number 6 for the clean water and example here. Despite its locations, our locations in one of the driest areas in Thailand, SUT is proud of our own efficient water management system that provides sufficient clean water for SUT community and the community surrounding our campus. We use our knowledge and technology in this system too. For example, we found that 13% of the amount of water feeding into our product system is contaminated. So with the knowledge and technology that we have, we treat this water first to the level that it's safe enough and suitable for water production. This way, we don't have to waste the wastewater and then have more safe water that is enough for our production system. Also, we use our expertise to survey the groundwater as another source of water just in case that dry season is prolonged. This groundwater resource is well stored and treated to meet the safety standards for use as low water in our water production system. This is why SUT as well as the surrounding community we serve with have never experienced a serious water shortage problem in the dry seasons. Besides wastewater treatment is also the one of our expertise area, and we make good use of it for our sustainable water supply system as well. All wastewater from the office, students, and staff residential areas, as well as from our university hospital, is channeled to our wastewater recycling and treatment system located at the lowest point on our campus. This water recycling system feeds back about 31% of the running water that we use on our campus. So for another example of the SDG number 4, so quality education is our heart and soul at SUT as well. Our university thrives on the providing educations with quality, equity, inclusivity, and opportunity for lifelong learning. We have a very strong and proactive with those main tasks is to provide academic services to community, and those services are for both general public and the private sector, and they come in the different sizes and forms for a wide range of people, ranging from knowledge disseminations and skill development through short courses, seminars, training, and workshops, to incubator for the startups, businesses, innovations. Current offerings of the general public include the startup entrepreneurship, sales and customer service, data analytics, cyber security, digital media, robotics and automation engineering, precision and intelligent systems, sustainable and green technology, productivity and cost reduction, smart farm, and as well as the food industry. As resource and fundamental of the education opportunity, SUT offers scholarship and also from all of the financial support to disadvantaged students, not only Thai but also those outside the country. One effective screen that makes SUT internationally famous is our cooperative and work integrated education, or CWIE program, which places all our senior year students in the real workplace as full-time employees for a minimum period of 4 months under the provisions of both our faculty member and workplace mentors. Through this placement, our students have a chance to bridge their knowledge with practice, link their university with an industry to create and appreciate a meaningful relationship between education and work experience. Our graduates and then equipped with the employability and enter into the world of work as ready graduates. As the first university that introduced the CWIE to Thailand 27 years ago, we serve as the role model for other universities both in Thailand and beyond to learn from follow. If any of our TWTN colleagues is interested in this CWIE collaboration with us, I would be happy to have the discussions about it and from our several success story about the domestic and international cooperative and work integrated placement as well. Okay, and the next one. The first goal in which SUT scores highly is goal number 12, which is to create a mechanism to guarantee the responsible consumption and production. Numerous activities and projects have been initiated and implemented aiming for the efficient and sustainable resource management. The university, with the student body of around 18,000, obviously, there are almost 10 canteens and fruit outlets all over our campus to serve the huge demand. Food scarcity is inevitable problem that needs our constant attention and handling. So we have a food scarcity recycling facility for everyone to take part in this effort. Also, we set up a recycled waste bank, which acts as the middleman buying or all the recyclable waste from our students and staff and selling them of the private recycle facility. And we also have a campaign which we say SUT says no to plastic bag. This campaign has so far saved more than 2.1 million plastic bags. One technology based on our campus facility is our SUT Comprehensive Waste Management unit using the mechanical, biological treatment and composting technology in this waste recycling process. This comprehensive waste management system of ours has an impressive record of recycling around 99% of our domestic waste. We also extended this waste management knowledge and technology to communities nearby and all over Thailand as well. In summary, so SUT still has to work harder and non-stop to meet the author SDGs in the future. We take this THE impact ranking as a looking glass to look at ourselves, assess and evaluate our strengths and weaknesses. The ultimate goal is obviously not for the highest score SUT will enjoy, but for sustainability for the country and the community surrounding the campus and all the world for everyone. So thank you so much for your attention.
Thank you very much, Veena. It's really interesting to hear what you're doing at the campuses at SUT. I think what I really got from your presentation there was this idea that these rankings are not just about what research outputs we produce, they are about what we do on our campuses, wherever they are. I'm really pleased to welcome our final speaker from Ahlia University in Bahrain, Dr. Esra AlDhaen, who's the Executive Director of the Centre for Accreditation and Quality Assurance. So I'm figuring, Esra, you're probably responsible for this at Ahlia too. So over to you, welcome.
Thank you very much. First of all, I would like to take this opportunity and thank you all for giving me the opportunity today to present and share our practices and strategy at Ahlia University. Definitely this session has been really interesting. It's given us also more knowledge and gain more insight from the other universities' practices. Today I'll be highlighting Ahlia's University Education Sustainability and Impact Strategy, which is aligned with the Sustainable Development Goals Impact Ranking Experience. I will just provide a short brief about Ahlia University. I believe a lot of my colleagues have been presenting a lot of presentation the past 2 days about Ahlia. For those who doesn't know about Ahlia, Ahlia University is the first private institution in Kingdom of Bahrain. It was established in the year 2001, and it is focused on quality of education in terms of teaching and learning, investing in research, as well as supporting the community. Why Ahlia University have selected Times Higher Education Impact Ranking? Ahlia University believe, and as part of our ultimate vision and mission, we believe that Times Higher Education Impact Ranking is focused on United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, which is aligned with our national strategies of the Kingdom of Bahrain. And we also believe that we aim to produce highly qualified and distinguished graduates that really serve Bahrain as a community, as well as ready for the local and international market at large. We do believe that we as higher education institutes have a major role in addressing the Sustainable Development Goals, which is also vital to equip our next generation with the required skills, knowledge, and also creativity and innovation. And we believe by deriving this with the most appropriate plans and strategies, we believe that we will be able to address the sustainability challenges and opportunities to perform research that advances the sustainable development agendas. We on 4 main SDGs in our Times Impact Rankings. The first one is SDG 4 related to quality education, SDG 8 related to decent work and economic growth, SDG 10 related to reduced inequalities, and 17 related to partnership for the goals. We believe that the SDGs enable to provide sustainable plans to enrich the community with the outreach, outcomes, and partnership at local, regional, and international level. How did we do it? We have developed an internal process. We have formed a university standing committee, which is chaired by the Vice President for Admin and Finance. The committee looked at the sustainable development criteria and were able to select the most relevant goals that we would like to streamline it and align it with strategic objectives. Once we have selected these SDGs, we have ensured that they are cascaded in our annual operational plans, as well as measured as part of our development of Sustainable Development Plan, which is a 5-year plan aligned to our strategy. We do have a rigorous monitoring, which is handled by the Quality Assurance, handled by a Center for Accreditation and Quality Assurance, and it is handled every 3 months, and it is evaluated and validated. Once we evaluate the measures, which is handled every 3 months, we are able also to trigger any immediate action that needs to be tackled. And finally, we develop an annual report, which is also publicized annually in our SDG designated webpage. Our implementation strategy, we have been conducting various community-based activities related to the SDGs. We have been investing in research related to sustainability at multiple levels, including hosting conferences that are on annual basis and publishing books, as well as we have been revising our curriculum to be aligned and focused on SDG related skills, knowledge, and innovation. We have established connections with different entities like World Association for Sustainable Development and most recently with UNESCO. I'll give you a brief of our measures and our achievements against the measures for the academic year 1920. In terms of SDG 4 related to quality education, we have focused on measures like number of research papers published in the area of quality of teaching and learning. And why we have focused on the quality of teaching and learning, we are focused on what this research will create an impact in the future in terms of what we can share in terms of our practices of teaching and learning, as well as what could we gain knowledge from the others in terms of benchmarking with other internationally recognized standards, as well as reputable universities. We have also related our measure to a number of academic programs sustained the quality assurance standard by external authorities. And here we have aligned our measure not only related to academic programs sustained the quality assurance standard internally, we have also aligned it with internationally, professionally aligned standards, as well as the national strategies of the Kingdom of Bahrain. And we are very pleased to say that we have obtained or sustained the quality assurance standard for all our programs in 2020. We have also related it to a number of program sustained national qualification framework standards by external authority. And this is a relatively new standard in Kingdom of Bahrain. And we are very pleased to say that the Ahlia University have not only placed on NQF, they have also sustained the standards, and they are #1 university to revalidate their academic programs on national qualification framework. And we have sustained 11 programs out of the 14 programs to be on the national qualification framework during 1920. We are also pleased to say that we are a #1 university that have also aligned its cross-border programs that they are internationally awarded by Brunel University London as well as George Washington University, and we have placed our programs to be aligned with the National Qualification Framework. We have also measured it through number of community engagement events. We have designated 33 events during 1920 that they are directly related to the Sustainable Development Goals, that they are community engagement events. They were free of charge and supporting teaching and learning and quality of education. The next one is related to SDG 5, gender equality. And in relation to SDG 5, we are pleased to say that we have aligned our measures with the number of papers published by women. We have published 50 papers that they were published by women, staff members, including students, and collaborative research with students. And they are related also to serious and niche area related to equal opportunity and other areas like women empowerment. It is also related to sustainability of gender equality and related to sustainability of women in leading positions. We have also related it to number of women working, and we have 94 women working in Ahlia University, which is a percentage of overall 48%, and we are very pleased with this percentage. Ahlia have invested a lot in women, and they have funded 12 women during 1920 to obtain PhD funding support, which is 100% scholarship. We are also measuring it with the number of women obtained 50% school waive fees, and this is for women to support their to support their children education through our school, which is Ahlia School, and it is 50% school waive, which we are very pleased because it is creating not only impact, it's also showing our community support in promoting education for our future generation. Ahlia have invested $21,680 in research and funding support for education.
Esra, brilliant. That sounds so good to me. Could I encourage you to wrap up now and we can go to questions?
Sure,
that would be great.
Sure.
Thank you.
Sorry about that. Yeah, we have also related it to SDG 8, which is mainly about industry placement and also a number of female staff and obtaining educational support. I'll go to also SDG 9, which is related to innovation and infrastructure. We have focused mainly about the number of organizations that they have been involved in a partnership, and we have obtained number of projects serving the industry, and we are pleased to say that we have obtained His Highness Sheikh Khalid bin Hamad first prize for innovation and research for related to artificial intelligence. I will wrap up very quickly. We are very pleased to say that we have been focused on a lot of measures that they are related to special needs and also in funding and supporting students with special needs and also attracting international students. In brief, higher education institute facilitate social, environmental and economic development. So our belief as Ahlia University, let's collaborate to achieve United Nations SDGs and serve the community. So thank you very much, and sorry if I have taken a lot of time. Thank you.
That's fine, Esra. You wrapped it up so quickly after I mentioned it that I think we are very much back on track. So opening the floor to our delegates. I've got questions in my notebook, but I won't take chair's prerogative yet because I can already see a hand raised, and I'm sorry, I'm going to get the pronunciation probably wrong. Gaurishankar.
That's
you
right.
have a question.
Yes, I am slightly a critique of THE ranking procedure. Nevertheless, my question is as follows. A university essentially is a teacher and a student only. Now, from the presentations I'm able to see, there is so much of diversification from that. Is it going to cause learning? Second thing is the Times ranking itself is having such criteria, many of which perhaps are less important than other things. Like, one of the last speaker said, we have to take care of future generations. Times does not bother about that. I don't know why. Similarly, Times does not bother about many other things. I want to know the view of the presenters, like, we don't bother about tradition, we don't bother about customs, we don't bother about happiness, we don't bother about community living, we don't bother about so please answer this question. Why should we bother about THE at all? Thank you.
Thank you for your question, Gauri Shankar. If I'm going to ask speakers to raise their hand if they would like to respond to each question. That might be the easiest way to do it rather than put people on the spot. I think from my view, if I just mention as chair, this is one ranking table. I do have personal views about ranking tables. This is one ranking table that the Times Higher Ed are offering, and it is elective. It's up to the universities who have submitted to it whether they choose to submit to this particular ranking table. For my university, we haven't chosen to submit to this ranking table, but we have chosen to commit to the Sustainable Development Goals. Are there any other speakers who would like to comment? Please just unmute and go ahead.
I think it's Lisa here from York University in Canada, and I think that you make some very important comments, because we always, I think, want to make sure we're not driven too much by these kinds of rankings tables. We need define for ourselves what our important mission is. And, the nice thing, though, is when there's a ranking that actually does reflect some of the strengths that and contributions that a university is making. I do find students seem to care about these things. Students have to make choices about where they're going to attend post-secondary. Research partners have to, make choices about who they're going to partner with. They're looking for universities they have something in common with, something they share with, something that, shows that, there's a connection and a fit with the values that you wish to pursue as a student or as a research partner. And so become a way of communicating why you might want to partner with York University, what kind of a university it is, what it cares about. But I would agree, Gauri Shankar, that there are limitations. And one has to be careful always that the tail is not wagging the dog and the ranking is not starting to distort or drive what activities you choose to engage in.
Thank you, Lisa, for that contribution. I can't see any of their hands raised, so I'm going to ask one of my questions to the panel, which is how hard or easy was it to choose which 3 SDGs your university submitted to? And has it caused any disappointments in your university? I'm going to open the floor to the panel. Esra, go on, tell us what happened at Ahlia.
Thank you very much. Actually, it was really hard to select. And the reason behind that is we, as higher education, we already have our vision and mission, and we have our own strategies. So we had to really evaluate every SDG and decide upon which one that we really aim to focus on. That doesn't mean that we are going to neglect the remaining. We are still having them in mind, but in terms of submission, we had to evaluate them and see which one is doing higher in terms of impact and what we are doing. And actually, I like your question about disappointment. It did not really create disappointment. However, it created some sort of competing mood between departments to make sure that they are going to do higher. So it was really positive at Ahlia, and really we have seen the differences between two academic years, or the 2 years 19 and the 20. So actually, yes, it was really hard, but it relied really on the actual analysis and actual results. Thank you.
Thank you, Esra. Sounds very sensible. Punitha, tell us about UTM. You're on mute at the moment, Punitha.
Though we selected only 3, but actually we submitted more than 3. We submitted 6 SDGs, and as everyone is aware, they select the best 3 scores. So we had, I mean, of course, we weighed our activities that have been carried out for the whole year, and we realized some of it we can't even compete, or we didn't want to waste our kind of energy in some of the SDGs that's not relevant, not related directly. So, but otherwise, whatever we have done, the activities carried out for the whole year, some of it into either one SDG, so we sent more. It's not just 3, but we knew that this could be the strong point of UTM. So the rest, we submitted almost 6, and this year we intend to submit 8 SDG just to see where we are, and probably that can give us some feel-good factor and work harder.
So I'm hearing that some of you are using this as a way of motivating your colleagues, possibly, to get involved in this work. So that sounds like you've used it internally to raise awareness and to encourage competition, a little bit of motivation. Do you go out publicly with your results as members of the Times Higher Ed Impact Table? How have you used that, maybe in marketing or student recruitment or gaining new partners? Would anybody like to comment on that, please?
Probably I can comment on this ranking table. Since UTM International is also in charge for other ranking, for students promotion, students probably look into QS or THE World University Ranking instead of Impact Ranking. But probably for the stakeholders, it's a feel-good factor. So they might feel that university is also working for the community and working in line with the United Nations agenda. So, but for student promotion so far, the students rather look into QS and THE. Thank you.
Thank you, Punitha. I noticed that for some people, their ranking had changed from the first year to the second year, that they'd been part of that. But I'm assuming that's partly due to the growth in the number of universities that have now put into that ranking table. But does anybody have any comments they'd like to make on that shift? If not, that's fine. I can see Munia has a question. Munia, would you like to ask your question?
Yeah. Thank you for the panel for this lovely session. About SDG, now evaluating of the SDG factors, the impact of SDG factors, very important. Now, from your view as a panel, what are the limiting factors that hinder the right evaluation and the right, to come up with the right impact? Thank you.
Can I invite members of the panel? Perhaps Lisa, would you have something to say on that particular question? I can see Esra has also raised her hand.
Sure, thank you for the question, Munir. I think that some of the panelists touched on the challenges of data collection. And I think this is particularly challenging for the impact ranking because the data are so diverse that are needed. Everything from, your access policies for students to who you employ, to your institutional policies, and to your research. And so there's a great variety of different kinds of qualitative and quantitative research that's necessary. And so it is an investment of time to really do a good job of it. And this is why I think there is an important choice to be made about whether to go broad or go narrow. Do you try to submit everything that you can find out about your institution that is relevant to the SDGs? Or do you make some judgments about where you're most likely to be able to show your strengths and focus in on 3, 4, or some smaller number of SDGs where you might be able to really put together a stronger submission? So I would say that's one of the challenges of this ranking. It's fairly resource intensive to participate and to really put your best foot forward.
Thank you, Lisa. Esra, did you have a comment?
Yeah, I would say one of the major challenges that really it's important to consider is focusing on impact rather than just focusing on data collection or running operation as, for the sake of submission of the Times Higher. We need to think beyond submission of a ranking, and we are doing it as part of our strategy, as part of our systematic operations. So it needs to be aligned and embedded rather than is being done for the sake of submission.
A very good point, Esra. Thank you very much. I can see, Sonia, you have your hand raised.
I do. I've got a question about WTUN, obviously. So I just want to say thank you to all of our speakers today. Absolutely brilliant to hear about all the work that you've been doing. And I know that we also have some members in the network who have looked at the Times Higher rankings, but have not yet submitted. Maybe they're considering submitting in the future. And I guess I'm just wondering what WTUN as an international platform of universities and a platform and a network that has also committed itself to the SDGs, is a signatory of the SDG Accord. What can we do as a network to help, communicate between members, maybe those who have submitted and those who haven't submitted? I guess I'm just wondering if anybody has any ideas about how WTUN can get more involved in this. Thanks.
An interesting question, Sonia. Would anybody like to comment? I don't know, Veena or David, would you like to throw something in on the network and what you think we might be able to do around the SDG goals?
I believe definitely as a network, we will be able to work more closely because it's actually we can share our knowledge with each other, because what others are doing and how they are coming up with the things and what are the parameters there and what activity they have done, how they're engaging the students, how they're engaging the community. If that can be shared with each other, it's actually a gaining because we are giving back to society. And how are we giving back to society and how they are responding it and which way we are successful in doing it. As I said, it's not just applying for the ranking, it's actually for doing something better for our community, better for the world that we are living. So definitely we all can share with each other knowledge and what we have gained and how we are working towards successful that, and that will definitely benefit.
So I guess I could say that by putting on this session, I've already done something that we could have done.
Yes, yes.
Does anybody have any other closing remarks or final comments they'd like to make today? Wonderful. I've got lots of notes. I know that as a network, we're planning to share the recording, the presentations on our website. We will have another call for exchanges coming up, and it might be that somebody wants to use an exchange to actually network with other members who've applied to the Times Higher Ed table. Perhaps that could be one way, Sonia, that the network could do more on this particular topic. Definitely. It's been really helpful for me. I hope everybody else has enjoyed today's session. I'd like to really thank all our speakers again. I feel so honoured to have welcomed people that have, you know, from across the globe. It feels like a real joy to me. So thank you so much. I hope you all go well and enjoy the rest of the day and the rest of your week. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. And please do stick around for the rest of our sessions today. We've got a showcase session which is starting in around 15 minutes, where you'll be able to hear from some of our exchange recipients and our student competition participants. And to finish off the Congress today, we will have a development session where we essentially open the floor to any of our delegates who've got any ideas which they wish to pitch to the network that you think we can get involved in. And today's development session will specifically be around the SDG. So if anybody does have any further comments or ideas, then please do come along to that. Thank you very much, and hopefully we'll see you soon. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.